Welcome to The Project. Tonight, the new report that exposes Australia's supermarket giants among the most profitable in the world. So why aren't they helping reduce the checkout pain?
An Aussie murder mystery over 2 decades old. We speak to the detective who thinks he's close to cracking the case.
Plus, the three brothers taking on a gruelling row of a lifetime with Australia as their final destination.
And what's better than one music hero? Two. We chat with dynamic duo Bernard Fanning and Paul Dempsey.
We are live from the land of the Cooling Nation. Please welcome back Sharon Gudella. Now, we have to realise this is show 2 for you.
It is.
So
I haven't been cancelled yet.
You haven't been cancelled yet. There's always, you've got an hour for that.
Always time, isn't there?
No pressure on you. I have a 7-week-old, so I haven't slept for 7 weeks. No pressure on me.
There's pressure on you then.
Susie Youssef. Not just today's show, not just the future of the project, the future of the network, Channel 10, lives or dies by how you perform this evening.
Max, I think I've got this.
Great.
Well done. Well, let's get into today's top stories. The federal government is set to act on the ACCC's scathing supermarkets report. It's accepted all 20 recommendations in principle. The report reveals Woolies and Coles are raking in big profits while Aussies struggle to afford groceries. It says the sector lacks serious competition but found no evidence of price gouging or a duopoly.
There's no silver bullet. The competition and the way the sector operates is well established.
First it was Big Pharma, now it's Elon Musk and US tech giants urging Donald Trump to push back against Australia's trade regulations. They claim Australia's imposed unfair digital barriers on things like streaming and social media, which hurt their profits. The Trump administration's already warned such measures will face new tariffs from April 2nd. And where we live can shape our well-being. A new survey has found work pressure is the biggest issue for people in New South Wales. 45% say it impacts their mental health. Victorians are still struggling post-COVID because their support networks have shrunk. While in South Australia, parents say they feel ill-equipped to talk about mental health with their kids. Things are overall the worst in Queensland, where 43% of residents say they're stressed out, which may explain why I've come to Melbourne for the weekend. Yes.
I have to say that the thing that stresses me out the most is the number of glass jars that I have collected.
And how many have you collected?
Way too many. Doesn't matter what state I'm in, they follow me, and I really need to stop doing it.
OK. Are they full?
No, they are empty glass jars, Sharon.
I would say if that's your biggest problem, you're probably OK.
OK.
I would say.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's what am I complaining about?
Yes, it's your journey and it's wrong of me to mock your pain.
Wow, a British man just admitted fault. There we go. Breaking news, am I right? OK, well, to Florida, where a woman was injured when a water balloon was thrown into her car. It is kind of hard to wrap your head around, so thank goodness we had reporter Chancellor Wynne to give us a play-by-play reenactment.
A woman in Flagler Beach says she was simply driving her car around 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. She tells me she just rolled her window down, and that is when a water balloon came flying through the window, hitting her in the face and exploded.
And the driver was even more angry when the reporter drove off in her car.
It wasn't a Tesla car, was it? They're being vandalised.
I can't confirm or deny that. I'm so sorry, Sharon. Now, let's be honest, there's not much that you can do with $3 these days, but for tens of thousands of Aussies, that's how much they get paid an hour, and it's legal.
Beautiful.
For 5 years, Charlotte's been welcoming customers at Canberra's Eastlake Bistro.
I just love waking up every morning, feeling good and just getting ready for work. I'm happy to be here and I just feel so grateful that I'm actually working here.
Can I please have a latte?
Yeah.
Skim?
Okay.
Charlotte brings a positive can-do attitude. Yeah. She's reliable and pays a lot of attention to detail with the tasks that she does.
It makes me feel happy that I'm surrounded with people that are very supportive of me. I love making coffees for other people.
Thank you so much, Charlotte.
When she's not busy being a barista, Charlotte is an ambassador with the ACT Down Syndrome Association.
Charlotte's work as our employment ambassador is really important. She's able to work with mainstream employers to show them that it is possible to hire a person with an intellectual disability. She's also an excellent role model for other people with intellectual disability, showing them what's actually possible.
She's even addressed the United Nations and was a finalist in the 2024 ACT Young Australian of the Year Awards.
I like people looking up to me and knowing that I have a voice for people with Down syndrome, and it's cool that I get to share that with other people.
Charlotte's employers choose to pay her the award wage.
Paying Charlotte a standard wage is very important. She's doing the same job as anyone else would be doing, and it's real work.
But sadly, she's considered one of the lucky ones. In Australia, people with disability often find employment with an Australian disability enterprise, not-for-profit organisations that make products or provide services and are separate to the mainstream workforce. There are about 600 ADEs around Australia that employ more than 20,000 people with disability. Legally, they can be paid as little as $3 an hour. The national minimum wage is $24.10 an hour. The vast majority of these workers have intellectual disabilities.
Often it's justified or explained away that people can earn such a small amount because they're often on the disability support pension as well as earning those wages. However, that's not a justification for not giving them the same opportunity as the rest of the population.
That's not right that people like me that has a disability get paid like $3. It's not enough money.
The Disability Royal Commission recommended that workers should at least be paid minimum wage, and the government should act to achieve this by 2034. But so far, nothing has been done.
We feel that this is discrimination, it's a breach of their rights, and it's something that has to change.
People with disabilities should get paid like everybody else. Everyone can learn to do a job.
Now with the federal election looming, there are calls for these hardworking Aussies to be paid real wages for real work.
The three asks for our campaign are that the government commit to phasing out the $3 an hour wage, that the government look at the disability support pension and make some relatively easy changes so that it doesn't act as a disincentive to work, and that the government funds programs that work to get people with Down syndrome into open employment.
I want Australia to be inclusive for everyone.
I'd encourage other employers to give everyone a fair go by fostering an inclusive work environment, supporting and spending time with your employees. You can get the best out of everyone.
Charlotte is proof that a supportive workplace can help people with disabilities reach their full potential.
My message is to give them a go, give them a chance. I want employers to know that people with Down syndrome can do anything.
Fair play to Charlotte, right? Amazing ambassador for that, and her employers as well for paying her properly. It's the disparity is shocking, right? And the whole point about inclusivity is the more that it happens in every workplace, in every bit of society, the more that everyone just accepts it and it's just totally normal. And we shouldn't have to do stories like that. And Charlotte she couldn't just do her job and not campaign at the same time.
Absolutely, but how lucky that in a conversation like this that needs progress that we have a strong voice like Charlotte, and a huge thank you to her for all the work that she does. Today is World Down Syndrome Day, and if you'd like to support their campaign to raise the wage, head to our website for more information.
Time for a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to The Project.
Now, Justin Bieber has been seen looking despondent during a trip to Disneyland. It comes after a series of frank and unfiltered social media posts that have many concerned for his mental health.
People told me my whole life, "Wow, Justin, you deserve that." And I personally have always felt unworthy, like I was a fraud. I definitely feel unequipped and unqualified most days.
It's been a week of reckoning for Justin Bieber, publicly laying bare a level of self-doubt and imposter syndrome few would associate with a star of his calibre.
I think we can only let hate go by first acknowledging it's there. How couldn't we feel hate from all the hurt we've experienced?
And this sounds a little cryptic and it doesn't have a lot of context, so I think naturally people are saying, hey, is this another cry for help from Justin Bieber?
In August, Justin and Hayley welcomed their first child, Jack Blues. But tabloids claim the singer was, quote, losing touch with reality. Bieber's reps hit back, claiming rumours were
exhausting and pitiful, and shows that despite the obvious truth, people are committed to keeping negative, salacious, harmful narratives alive.
But those narratives have long been stoked by the star himself. In a 2015 interview, Bieber, then just 21, said of growing up in the public eye,
It might seem awesome from the outside, but I'm struggling. I was close to letting it completely destroy me.
Bieber was just 13 when he signed to a record label, and by 15 he was in the orbit of rapper Sean Diddy Combs, who immediately took the teen under his wing.
Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. It's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Combs is currently behind bars, awaiting trial on sex trafficking and racketeering charges. And while Bieber has not alleged any mistreatment, old videos show a relationship many describe as creepy.
And he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
But as fans dig through footage of Bieber's teenage years, a worrying picture is emerging, showing just how inappropriate that treatment really was.
Have you gotten a lot of bras and panties thrown on stage yet? Do you keep them?
Yeah, I hang them up on my wall.
No, I don't keep them.
My parents never gave me the sex talk.
Okay.
So why don't you give me the sex talk?
I feel uncomfortable right now.
Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
I will squeeze your face.
No,
I will. No.
I feel violated right now.
We hear that he may be back on the market now and available.
Can you imagine? It'd be like cougar rape.
These experiences likely to explain why in 2020, Bieber broke down while talking about shielding Billie Eilish from the things he went through as a young star.
I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody.
People who have lots of success are not always given the help that we need. And I think moving forward, it's just a matter of supporting the guy.
Well, thank you so much, Justin. You're a very cool little kid.
Thank you very much.
So sad, isn't it, to see him exploited in that way? He was just 15 years of age, and he's there with Sean Diddy Combs, of all people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I don't think it's surprising that anybody who has that much fame, that age, fame at any age is difficult, but at that age must be impossible. And I'm slightly uneasy with us sort of just showing all this stuff as well. I don't know if it helps the situation at all. Like, we love salacious gossip, right? And we pretend we don't, or we might do it in a different way. But I think actually something like that just needs to be left alone. I know he's posting it, but it's a very tricky balance.
I think it is a tricky balance, but I also think that the conversation needs to continue about the way that we treat child stars, and that pattern continues and we see it over and over again. And until those attitudes change and we see how much damage it does, and sometimes it doesn't come out for years and years, nothing's going to change if we stop that conversation. But I agree with you. You know, digging into the gossip side of it doesn't help, but highlighting that this kid was absolutely not ready for the things that were thrown at him is really important.
But do you think we should say not have a 15-year-old superstar on this show? Because I haven't looked through the back catalogue, we probably would have had Justin Bieber come on the show. I mean, we wouldn't have necessarily talked to him in the way that they did.
And that is the point. I think the point is that there needs to be a level of respect that's upheld for these young kids, because they're impressionable and there's lasting damage and trauma if you don't.
The red flags were there, weren't they? We could see them now. Looking back on that now, we see all those red flags, but yet nobody helped that 15-year-old boy.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. More projects after the break.
This is the project.
Our three Scottish brothers are about to set off on a gruelling expedition, rowing 14,000 kilometres across the Pacific Ocean for some reason. Starting from Lima in Peru, the McLean boys plan to row non-stop and unsupported in a bid to break the record for the fastest human-powered crossing. They want to reach Sydney in just 4 months, while also raising $2 million for clean water projects.
Well, getting ready for the big row over in Peru, please welcome Jamie, Lachlan and Ewan, a.k.a. the McLean brothers. Lads, this idea alone makes me sick, or should I say seasick. Ewan, how are you feeling with less than 2 weeks to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty excited. We've been preparing this for, well, nearly 2 years now, so I think we're pretty ready by this point to get going, I'd say.
Jamie, the questions that everyone wants to know: where do you sleep? When do you sleep? What do you eat? And where do you go to the toilet?
Well, I mean, so it's non-stop and it's unsupported. So
We sleep in these two little pods at either end of the boat. Then there's the rowing deck that's exposed. We shift our shift patterns. So there's always someone rowing. There's always someone on the oars. And, we've got to fuel ourselves. So we're fueling ourselves constantly with freeze-dried food, things like that. And we make water with a desalinator to hydrate ourselves.
We have heard horror stories about marlin attacking on the high seas. There's terrible things out there. What is the worst thing that you're likely to face?
I mean, yeah, marlins, in recent years, that's been a big issue for rowing boats. So it's the marlin, they're trying to strike small fish that often track underneath the boats. I mean, I would say, the Pacific is obviously a vast ocean. So, and we expect to have pretty big swell. So, up to 30-foot waves.
Wow. Sounds like fun, doesn't it, really? Well, you've already conquered the Atlantic. How does this journey compare?
Yeah, so it's about 3 times longer. And we expect we were at sea for 35 days across the Atlantic. And I think we expect this to take about 120 days, which would be quite fast. And I think because it's so much bigger, absolutely everything kind of multiplies with that. We've got to take, obviously, much more food to make sure we can weather the distance. We've got to be really looking after our hands and feet and making sure our bodies don't degrade in a way that, it becomes unmanageable. We've got to bring, medicines to make sure if one of us had appendicitis or something like that, we're able to manage whatever we face at sea. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you've got to think about because once we set off, the plan is for us to be out there and not have to stop until we reach Sydney.
Can I just check? If one of you gets appendicitis, you'll just get one of your brothers to take out your appendix. That's like a sort of an agreement that you've made.
Yeah, for teeth especially, that'll definitely be the case.
Wow.
It's in the contract.
But no, I think appendicitis, we would take antibiotics to try and manage things and give ourselves a long enough period to be able to be picked up by a vessel, which that's obviously a worst case scenario, but you've got to think of all these things.
We have painted a bit of a grim picture, and obviously people who don't do this worry about all the things that could go wrong. But what are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I think it's, to some degree, it's the isolation, it's the tranquility and the peace of mind that you only find in the middle of an ocean. I think people's lives are so complicated these days with phones and, there's always someone trying to get hold of you. There's always someone asking something of you. And so really it's that beautiful tranquility and isolation that you get from doing a challenge like this.
Well, listen, look, good luck, guys. It's an amazing thing that you're trying to do. It's a ridiculous thing that you're trying to do. You are raising money for a great cause, but we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
And great footage for people sitting down having their dinner of a man throwing up into a bucket. Right, still ahead, we speak to the Aussies trying to crack a 20-year-old cold case. Can a podcast catch a killer? You are watching The Project.
You're watching The Project.
And now, as the cost of living continues to hit Aussie consumers, a new report into Australia's supermarket giants has revealed just how much money the sector makes. But can anything be done to make things cheaper at the checkout?
Australia's Competition and Consumer Commission has been to the shops. In its trolley, a hefty report finding Coles and Woolies are some of the most profitable supermarkets in the world.
We find that the supermarket sector is an oligopoly dominated by Coles and Woolworths.
Coles accounting for almost 30% of supermarket sales and Woolies almost 40%, giving them no incentive to compete on price.
Things are just getting so expensive.
Feels like they're generating more profit than ever.
Every time you're going to supermarket, the prices seem to be increasing.
The big two also facing accusations of land banking, purchasing potential supermarket sites to stop competitors buying them, though the ACCC found this didn't stack up.
You'd have to conclude land banking is not an issue. It's just not being engaged in by Coles or Woolworths.
Crucially, the ACCC did find supermarkets had made cost savings, which they failed to pass on to consumers, with profit margins in store anything but fresh or down. Profit margin on milk, 22%. Profit margin on pork, 34%. Profit margin on potatoes, 43%. And while the ACCC didn't technically find evidence of price gouging, suppliers are still on the hook.
We're really finding it difficult to pass costs on. It's always been the challenge of the produce industry. We're being price takers, not price makers.
In the wake of the report, both sides of politics talking tough.
This is all about cracking down on the supermarkets. We know that people are still under pressure, and a lot of that pressure is felt at the checkout.
We've been very clear. If consumers are being ripped off, we will not tolerate it.
The ACCC less so. Crucially, stopping short of demands from the Greens and Nationals to force supermarkets to divest.
Divestiture powers is a significant overreach. I don't see any need for it at all.
But with consumers and growers struggling and supermarket profits surging, will this report lead to any real change?
Let's get a farmer's perspective on this. Guy Gader is a cherry farmer in New South Wales. Thanks so much for your time. We can hear the cicadas in the background. But let's talk about the report. It took a year to put together. What do you make of it?
Look, it's a start, but it doesn't really do anything for the consumer or the farmer. You should know that unless you go to these people with a big stick, they're not going to change. And you say, well, I've never seen a woolly store go broke, Max.
Yeah.
But yet, there used to be around 200 farmers in Orange, horticulturists, growing cherries and apples. Now there's only 12 left. So what does that tell me?
So, I mean, Woolies and Coles would deny that they're price gouging. But are you saying when I buy my cherries, if they've gone from $8 to $10, you're not getting $2 more?
That's right, exactly. I go to Woolies and I see the price of capsicums, $10.50 a kilo. I'll ring up friends at Flemington Markets that sell capsicums and they say, well, they're only paying $4.50 and they're selling them $10.50 a kilo. I mean, is that evidence? It's only hearsay. But what doesn't the ACCC do what I do? Compare the prices from the wholesale market, the market price, and what they sell.
You were saying there before that there are only 12 cherry farmers left in the Orange district. What impact does that have on the local community? The fact that the supermarkets aren't paying for the produce like they should be?
I knew most of those 200 farmers, and the only reason I'm still in business is I sell my own produce. Whatever I grow, I go to Flemington Markets in Sydney every week. Like the truck has already left to go to Sydney. And we sell our own produce to the public, to the little greengrocer, and we're still here. But it's got to a point of no return. There was a study being done by AusVeg, and a third of the growers, vegetable growers, are thinking of leaving the industry. If that happens, that'll be disastrous. Then you'll really see the prices go up, just like the eggs. And because it's supply and demand, and then the price will go up, but who's going to suffer? The consumer.
Guy, look, thanks so much for articulating that so well, and thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
OK, thanks.
Statements from Coles and Woolies are on our website.
Time for more of today's top stories. It's been a crazy day for travellers. A volcanic eruption on the Indonesian island of Flores has seen some Jetstar flights in and out of Denpasar cancelled. Normal services have resumed, but Aussie tourists have been left stranded. And things are even worse at London's Heathrow. It's been closed for an entire day after a large fire at a nearby electrical substation knocked out power to the terminals. Qantas has diverted flights from Sydney and Perth to Paris. Victoria now claims to have the toughest bail laws in the country after new legislation passed state parliament. Aimed at tackling youth crime, the new laws include stricter bail tests for serious and repeat offenders. Remand will no longer be a last resort, but victims of crime aren't convinced the changes will make people feel safer.
I don't feel like our government leaders have our best interests at heart at all. I don't feel that anything that they're doing at the moment is trying to protect us.
A harsh warning tonight from the US Attorney General to Tesla haters. Pam Bondi says any attacks against the car maker will be treated as domestic terrorism. Her stance follows a wave of violence targeting Tesla dealerships and repair shops where vehicles have been firebombed, shot at and vandalised. Bondi says offenders could face up to 20 years behind bars if charges are successful.
So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
And would you approach your favourite celebrity if you saw them in public? Well, a new survey has found only 17% of Brits would go up to them to say hello or get a selfie. 69% say they'd leave them alone. 13% admit they wouldn't know what to do. Men are more likely to make an approach than women. Max, you'd know all about this. People will be coming up to you all the time.
Well,
for a selfie or
I suppose 17% explains why it's very rare that people come up to me
Yeah,
when
no,
I'm
that
in
is-
the
yeah,
UK.
statistics are the
That can be
reason.
the only reason,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Would you
Oh,
stop?
look, I like to play it very cool. You know, just pretend I don't know them, just like people do with me when they don't know me, which is cute. Yeah. What about you, Max Rushton?
There is only one famous person that I would stop.
Oh, who's that?
Well, actually, there are three.
Susie, Sharon.
Dr. Carl Kennedy from Neighbours, this guy.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
Dr. Carl Kennedy from Neighbours, this guy. And Dr. Carl Kennedy from Neighbours.
Okay.
This guy. What a guy. Fletch. I love you, Fletch.
Okay. So
I've got an idea for a sitcom, Fletch, going to be great.
I just want to say you have 2 children, and I have literally never seen you happier than in those pictures.
It's the only time in my life I've been starstruck. And what's great as well is in Australia, obviously, nobody watches it. In the UK, everybody watches it. So I persevere with these references, and everyone's saying, who's that? I'm like, it's Dr. Carl Kennedy. He's a doctor and an actor. He can do every bit of medicine.
Okay.
There's nothing this guy can't do.
Has he taken out?
Do you
Has he taken out an AVO against you yet?
It's 200 yards, but that's fine. I love you,
Okay,
Fletch.
well, Donald Trump was chatting with a reporter
He's a good
about.
guy.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I'd stop
We all want his autograph.
Okay, my time now. So we're going back to this. Donald Trump was chatting with a reporter about his 19-year-old son, Barron Trump. And now, look, I know that parents love to brag about their kids, but honestly, is there anything Barron Trump can't do?
Is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, turn it off. I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. Now. And I go back 5 minutes later, he's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad.
Sorry, he can turn a laptop both off and on. That's efficient. Move on, Elon. That's what I'm saying.
It's the leader of the free world. Sharon, you have been pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You've been looking forward to this bit of the show.
No, I have
like,
not.
Can we just drop this bit? Can we drop this bit?
I must have asked about 10 times.
You've been doing carpool karaoke. Let's have a look. Anna, listen.
Okay, so you're a rocket scientist.
That don't impress me much. So you got the brains, but have you got the touch?
I am terrible.
You're actually not terrible.
I am terrible, Muriel. No, I can't sing. I picked a song that I was trying to sort of, mouth the words, do a bit of lip syncing, Milli Vanilli, but
There was a
I ended
moment
up
where
singing.
it looked like, when you're just like, oh no, I am actually doing this.
Yeah. What
Why
happens
why
is-
were you doing that?
Why was I doing it? I
was
ask
great,
that
obviously,
question
it was
of
great.
myself every time I see that vision. I'm just a sucker for a good cause. I mean, it's for the Epic
it's
Walk for
charitable.
DV.
Right.
1 in 6 women experience domestic violence. And I just, my colleague at 10 News First in Queensland, Brendan Smith, and his partner Brendan started this Epic Walk for DV about 4 years ago. This is the 4th one. And when he said, can you do this? And I went, oh, sure, if I can help, I will. And it's not carpool karaoke, that was car crash.
No,
karaoke.
it was fantastic, and you're a good egg, Sharon.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hope it helps, yes. And today is Dollar Match Day, so any funds donated will be doubled. For more details on how to donate, head to our website. You're watching The Project. We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back.
Well, it's been more than 2 decades since 23-year-old Rochelle Charles was killed. For her family, it's been a lifetime of grief with no answers. All hopes of justice dashed. Now her case is being brought back into the spotlight.
23 years old, with blue eyes, blonde hair and a big smile, Rochelle Charles had her whole life ahead of her.
She was an absolute car nut. Her friends thought of her as their best friend, and as long as you didn't wake her up early in the morning, she always had a massive smile on her face, which was quite infectious. So, yeah.
On the afternoon of Thursday, the 7th of June 2001, Rochelle left work and got dressed at home before heading out to a nearby pub.
She rang me and I was on the phone, and Rochelle came through on the second line. She said, hey, Chris, it's Shell. And I said, hey, I'm just on the other line to Ez. I'll call you back. And she went, OK, bye. And I forgot to call her back.
Her burning, partially naked body was discovered on a stretch of highway on the New South Wales south coast, 9 hours after she was last seen.
I don't forget anything because it plays on my mind all the time. And all of a sudden I got this flash of a gold and there was a bangle on a hand.
To think that she only lived until 23 and her case has gone unsolved for longer than she was alive is heartbreaking.
In the 23 years since her disappearance, all clues have come up cold. A mass voluntary DNA screening in 2003, throwing up nothing. An inquest naming Rochelle's boss Kevin Carell as the prime suspect went nowhere. Since 2018, New South Wales Police have been reviewing the cold case, but so far there's been no justice for Rochelle.
Rochelle went out to meet someone, we don't know who, and she never made it home.
Now a new podcast called Dear Rochelle, hosted by investigative journalist Ashley Hansen, is shining light into the dark corners of this cold case.
Well, someone has been walking the streets for the last nearly 24 years. And so justice to my family and for me looks like a criminal conviction with a lengthy sentence. Soon.
So who killed Rochelle Childs, and can a podcast catch a killer?
Well, Damien Loon is a former New South Wales Police Detective Sergeant who is working on the Dear Rochelle podcast. Damien, we've seen podcasts like Teacher's Pet make a difference in cold cases. Do you think this podcast will finally get justice for Rochelle?
Yes, and good evening. And yes, I do. I do believe, because after 24 years, those in the community that withheld information or because of maybe loyalty to others, that loyalty can diminish over time. And now with the advent of all the serious violence against women, in the last couple of years, it's really raised a high point. I do believe that women now have a voice for those and will stand up and let's hope that they come forward.
Do you have an idea of who did it?
Well, that'll be revealed through the podcast. But look, I know the cops who worked on the investigation quite well, and they're very, very good investigators. The coroner, who went to the coroner because no person was charged, his role is to examine the who, what, when, where and why. He couldn't name a person responsible for Rochelle's death. But I do believe that over the years of other podcasts that have been involved, I've been involved with, there will be witnesses coming forward. And let's hope the Crime Stoppers phone lines light up like a Christmas tree.
You say that the police investigation went well, but what do you think during the investigation didn't go so well?
Look, there's some minor things that can be overlooked in time, but during the re-examination of Rochelle's homicide, those issues were clearly identified. There was a little bit of cross-contamination left somewhere with a police officer, but that was quickly eliminated. But at the end of the day, if the police knew who had done this, they would have arrested that person.
Are you hopeful that 23 years later, someone is going to come forward now with that information that you need?
Oh, look, hopefully so. And I firmly believe now that as a community, Rochelle was a loved young lady, popular with a lot of people, and her memory should never be forgotten. And I just hope that the people in the southwestern part of Sydney who know something, who have heard something, maybe even, it may not even be that the fact that they think the information isn't important. Please contact Crime Stoppers, 1800 333 000, and let them know, because I'm sure the New South Wales Police, the Unsolved Homicide Squad, will do an incredible job.
There's an ethical question with true crime podcasts, and I think about myself when I've listened to Serial or Teacher's Pet or watched Making a Murderer, is that quite often viewers or listeners kind of forget there's a victim, forget that there is a family kind of having to relive this, and are listening just purely for entertainment, you know, their escape after a day's work. Is that just a necessary evil, I guess, of the fact that you get to publicise the case again?
Well, look, put yourself in the family's point of view. Anyone here that's been a victim of homicide, and I've said this analogy, if you go to a wedding, there's normally 100 people present. That's 100 other victims out there in the community. And it's terrible to relive these memories, but we need to see justice, and justice for Rochelle.
Well, we truly hope that you do get the information that you need. Damien Loon, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
The new podcast, Dear Rochelle, by True Crime Australia, is available now. Head to our website for more details.
You were Fracture in the project. Welcome back.
All right, time to talk weather, and you're going to want to buckle up for this ride because she's just been upgraded to a Category 3 charmer. It's Satellite Susie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon. Let's go to Max. What time is it? Time for me to get married and have kids? No, Mum, it's time for the weekend weather report. Like a certified idiot eating an ice cream, let's start at the bottom with Hobart hitting a high of 19 on Sunday. Peaking at 19. Shout out to my ex if you're watching. And Brisbane, just like when I'm talking to my Uber driver and he asks, it will be 29. Just like a family hit with gastro, there'll be showers across the weekend. Perth, hold my earrings. I'm coming in hot and so are you, with highs of 32 and 33. Perfect for the Wanneroo Fried Chicken Festival. That chicken's going to fry itself. Meanwhile, in Melbourne, a high pressure system will bring cloudy conditions with a weekend high of 23. You think that's a high pressure system? Try having Lebanese parents. It's suns out, buns out in Adelaide, which will see a max of 29. And actually, that's max at 29. Look at you.
I haven't changed. I have not changed.
I mean, let's look at that again. Tickets to the gun show. Hello. How many tickets? None for me. Okay, and that's because I got to go to Sydney, which is in for a bumpy ride, hitting 27. That's right, 27, Saturn's return. So quit your job, bleach your hair, and why not elope with that 20-year-old barista to Darwin, where it'll be hot and steamy all weekend. That's all from Satellite Susie. Say hi to your thermometer for me. How good is she? How good is she? We've seen how good she is at doing the weather, but another person who is brilliant at doing the weather is Sam Mack over on Sunrise. He's pretty good, I suppose. He found himself at a kids' footy camp, and there was even a little bit for the theatre kids. See if you can spot them.
We've got the kids from St Monica's here this morning who are loving it, but I didn't know this. They can actually camp and stay overnight in here. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, it's one of our programs we're really most proud of.
These kids aren't actually asleep. They're fine. They're just mocking up what it would look like if they were sleeping.
Okay, well, if that's considered sport, I was very athletic in school.
Justice for Sam Mack. He must be exhausted, that guy.
Absolutely.
Let him read the weather. Just stay in the studio. Just give him a week.
Do you have some sympathy for him for any reason in particular?
No sympathy for him. Well, I have sympathy for whoever sends him to, people playing basketball at 6 a.m. and the parents who have to get up there as well.
You sound like a tired dad, if I'm being honest.
Well, I am, yeah. Just feel for Sam Mack. I feel for Sam Mack.
Fine.
Well, what could be better than one Aussie music hero? Two of them.
Paul Dempsey and Bernard Fanning are each responsible for some truly classic hits. Frontmen of beloved Aussie bands Something for Kate and Powderfinger, the rockers ruled the charts separately for years, and their power only gets stronger when combined.
I didn't get much sleep last night. I never heard the warning bell. I just wanna wish you well.
Last year, they officially joined forces as Fanning Dempsey National Park, and now the duo are tearing up stages across the country.
Hey, please welcome Paul Dempsey.
What was going on there?
I'm going to say, Bernard, you are the most famous rock star to ever get a piece of. I don't know what that was.
Television, yeah.
The interesting thing was you were trying to use my finger.
Oh, well.
And eventually you just went, I'll just use my own finger.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for that. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Been almost a year since you came on, a year since you got together. You're still getting on, because there were no musical differences at that time. Another year.
Still trying to find some.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Have you found coming together has kind of rejuvenated your love for music?
I don't think it needed rejuvenating. I think we've both always been pretty excited, playing music and writing songs and doing shows. So it's just even more fun doing it with a mate.
Have you found anything surprising about working together in the last 10 months or so?
I didn't know you could love cricket as much as Bernard loves cricket. Just the cricket obsession pervades
I didn't know
everything.
that you could absorb 17 beers and show absolutely no sign.
Are you a rock star?
No,
Surely
clearly
you do
not.
them both at the same time.
Yeah,
it's like the best
that's-
day.
I think
That's
that's
the
how
idea.
you cope with watching cricket, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, doing our
A lot of
household. Now, you two, you're heading out on a regional tour,
Yep.
but I understand you're doing something quite unusual with your support acts.
Yeah, we've asked people in each town that we're going to submit suggestions for them to open for us.
Of local artists from their area.
So how do you pick them? Is there some sort of audition or...?
It's just a lot of listening, just kind of checking out their stuff online and listening to what they're doing. But, just the idea being that everywhere we go, we can hopefully kind of support a local artist in that town so that when we've been and gone, the next time they play a show, a bunch more people might show up.
Terrific, yeah.
Obviously, you both have amazing back catalogues. I have to admit that Wish You Well was my ringtone between 2005 and 2010.
Awesome.
There is something that happens when you hear that song that many times, which is your love for it changes. Because
Yeah.
it woke me up every morning as well.
Yeah.
That was my
I have
my
that
alarm.
same thing.
Yeah. What is it about each other's back catalogues that you love the most? Like, is there a particular song that you kind of warm to the most?
Not a particular song, but we did lots of shows together, Powderfinger and Something for Kate. We did 80 shows or something like that together. So we got to know each other's music really well. And I just love the intensity of Something for Kate, that it's so, like, every moment matters in that band. And, especially what Paul's singing about and what he's saying. And it's very original.
And I think Bernard's just, with Powderfinger, as I say, we did so much touring and playing together, and so, you'd be walking around a venue just hearing, all these incredible songs. I think Bernard's just instinct for a song is, he just, I don't know, he just has an instinct for a song that hits you right, here.
I think some of those venues were just my ring. My
just you,
ringtone.
yeah.
It was my phone
Maybe
going
you
off.
must have rented next door or something.
We've been talking about you've known each other for so long. I think we've got a picture from way back when. When was this? Do you remember this moment?
Wow, look how young we were. Look
Yeah.
how young you are. Oh, my God.
That, I reckon, is 1999. I think that was probably the first time we went on tour
That was
together.
when we met.
That's how it
That was the
started.
first day we met, probably.
Yeah.
And do you find that
that was Hello?
Yeah.
Do you find that, like, I hear from a lot of rock stars who've been doing it for so long, is the first time you're doing it, you sort of don't really notice how fun it is, you're just caught up in the moment. And now you actually have a bit more time to reflect or just enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I enjoy playing live now more than I ever have, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm more relaxed about it. It's, we're so privileged to be in this situation where we get to go around the country and play to people. And I know it's a cliche, a lot of people kind of come out with that, but it's a cliche for a reason, because it's true. And it just feels great to be going out and seeing people.
Yeah.
And playing for them,
Absolutely.
it's a great privilege.
We
for
do
us.
have to let you go, but I just wanted to know you're amazing together. But if you had to pick a third,
Susie?
No, a musician. Let me be clear, a musician.
Iron Maiden. Yeah.
Iron Maiden.
Look, I wouldn't
And they're here tonight.
Wouldn't mind welcome.
Well, we can't wait to hear you on tour, so thank you very much for joining us tonight. Fanning Dempsey National Park is heading on tour. Ticket details are on our website. Please thank Paul Dempsey and Bernard Back.
Thank you for the dentistry. That was appreciated. That's it for tonight. Please thank Sharon and Susie. National Park will see us 6 Sunday. Project by etc.